Okay, we're talking about leading, and the leading of these three is 12 over 10, 12 over 15, and 12 over 25. 12 over 10 is too tight. The leading should never be less than the size of the point size of the type. So if we have 12-point type, which all three of these examples do, we know for a fact that 10 is wrong. It should never be less than 12. So everybody got that correct in the chat. I don't see anyone choose 12 over 10. So bravo. We can all see that that's trash, terrible, can't read it. Okay, the next one is 12 over 15. That's 3 points higher than our point size. 12 over 15 is actually what I like to use. There's an equation, but I think it's easier to remember 3 points. I think the rule of thumb that I always use is that my point size, my leading should be 3 points bigger than my point size of my type. Now, that's a guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule. And the reason I say that is X heights change. And so if I have a typeface with a really high X height, I might want to only go 2 points over my point size because that X height. Or maybe if it's a really short, I want to go, I'm sorry, I'm saying it backwards. I might want to go more. I want to go 4. And if it's a short X height, I might want to go only 2. So it depends on the typeface you're using, how much comfort you have. But I would say 9 times out of 10, 3 points difference is like the golden child. It's almost always going to work beautifully. So the one that your books are in, the easiest to read on our eyes, our brain understands it the best, is the 12 on 15. That is your preferred. Now, I did see a few of us say 12 over 25. And I also saw you put, some of you like Sandra and I think it was Rachel maybe, I'm trying to remember, and Rachel, that they preferred 12 over 25 because it's easier to read. I'm going to disagree with you there. It might seem like on the screen right now that's easier to read, and it might be in general on a screen. But if you had a whole book like that, you would continually lose your space. Your brain, the way our brains function and are kind of wired, if there's too much space between lines, when we get to the end of the line, we lose our space, and you find yourself rereading the same line over and over. How many of us have done that? You've read something and you're like, gosh, I keep rereading the same line over and over. Yeah, that's because there's too much space between lines, and our brain is like, I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm lost. I can't find it. I can't find it. That's what our brain does. And so too much space is causing that. It's really the way our brain works. So I think I was going to say ADHD or no, both ADHD and non-ADHD brains, that will happen for sure with if the issue is too much space. The other thing that will cause that with rereading the same line over and over again is if the line length is too wide. The line length is too wide, we also can't keep track. And so really wide line lengths that go the full page of like an 8.5 inch page, they go 8 inches wide. That's too long because then again, we can't get back to that other side fast enough. Our eye can't get back there fast enough to know what line to be on. And we end up rereading the same line over and over again. So there's 2 things that will cause that: too much space between lines and too wide of a column. So keep that in mind when you're designing. And so who can tell me what's the golden child rule that you should follow? How much leading should we have
3
from
more.
our point size?
3 more.
Should be 3 to look nice.
All right, good,
Even
good.
I was pointing out that 1215 is actually the one that on the screen you're right about in person, but on the screen I have more trouble reading, and I actually skip lines with 1215.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I would agree. On screen, it's a little different, but like a book, like, your books are going to be more like the 1215, all your books, that kind of thing. But the screen it's a different beast, and we'll get into that later, but yeah. All right, so let's keep going. Now we're going to jump into kerning. Now, so a lot of us have played the kerning game, which is, of course, adjusting the space between just 2 letters. not the whole word, 2 letters at a time. And it's 2 letters, then 2 letters, then 2 letters. All right, everybody, another activity. Here we have the word average. Look at it closely. And I want you to put the 2 letter sets, and there's more than one set, that need to be kerned. What is not working? Give me the 2 letter sets, and there's more than one in this word that need to be kerned. I want to see everybody. Okay, I got good job. We got Rain in there, Candy, Rachel, Joseph, Sandra, Carmen. Where's everybody else? What are the 2 letter sets? The multiple letter sets. And there's more than 2. So I'm seeing a lot of A and V. Yes, there's more than A and V. Remember, there's 2 letters, Candy. Sets of 2.
When you say
R and
kerned,
A.
you mean
Mhm.
like brought closer together or farther apart or both?
Both. Kerning means you're either moving it closer or further, but you're just adjusting 2 letters at a time. But for example, this word has multiple sets that need to be addressed. Okay, so good. I'm missing some of us, though. Some of us are not participating. Everybody take a minute. Let's see, who am I missing? Tanner, I don't think I have your choice in here yet. There's more than one set. Shitong, did you put one up here yet? Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, Rain, did you get yours up here? Did you pick one? Oh yeah, do you have that? All right. Okay, so I have some comments. So I see some people are saying the V and the E are running into each other. The R and the A are running into each other. And is that okay? That's a quick question for everybody. Do you agree? Is it okay to have the V and E running into each other and the R and A running into each other? What do we think?
I agree.
Probably not a good idea to run into each other because it's not a ligature.
That's right. It's not a ligature. It's not a ligature. All right, let me show you. These are the sets. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 sets that need adjusting. So the A and the V are too far apart. The V and the E are too close together. The R and the A are also too close together. And the A and the G, and I'm just looking, I don't think anyone got the A and the G. Oh yeah, we did. All right, Raul, good job. Not a lot of people got the A and the G. Candy got it. A, V, E, V, E, R, A, and G. Yep, actually Candy got all of them. V, E, R, A. V, E, R, A. Sandra got most of them, half of them. Good. All right, nicely done. Nicely done, everybody. So let's see what that looks like. There it is. That's the properly kerned word. So if we go back. So that's what we want to look for. So tracking, on the other hand, is the adjustment of the overall space between letters. So we have positive tracking, which means we're adding space between all the letters. 0 tracking means it's just how you've typed it. It comes out just how you've typed it. And negative tracking, which means you've you've pushed squished them all together. They're kind of bumping into each other. It's super cozy, like a crowded room. Everybody is shoulder to shoulder. So we want to avoid, in most situations, the positive tracking, meaning adding extra space between letters, or the negative tracking, squishing everybody together shoulder to shoulder. We want to stick to zero tracking. Zero tracking is just how it comes right out when you type it out. That's usually the preferred tracking. There are going to be exceptions to that rule. And this is where we're going to talk about it. So tracking can be helpful with small caps. Small caps, of course, are capitals, but that are the height of the X height, meaning the lowercase letters. Tracking works like and with seamlessly lowercase letters. So up here at the top of this, you can see this is what small caps looks like, just typed out regular. You can see where our R and our A are touching, our K and our I are touching. Everything is very close together. And if you look at the bottom here, you can see this has all been opened up with positive tracking. So let's look at type rules. So small caps are designed to match the X height of lowercase letters. Small caps work on the X height, just like lowercase letters. They are not uppercase letters shrunk down. They are designed differently to be the same stroke weight as your lowercase letters and your capital letters, but to work on the X height versus the cap height. Whatever you do, if you're going to use small caps, make sure you choose a typeface that has a designed small cap as a choice in it. True small caps integrate peacefully with lowercase letters. So you see here, you have the small cap, and then you see the lowercase word integrate, and then you see peacefully as small caps. Excuse me. And then you see the lowercase letters in lowercase again. And so pseudo small caps are shrunken versions of full-size caps, and that's what the second line is. Pseudo small caps, see the stroke weight, and then when you see the word are shrunken versions as lowercase, you know it's darker in color. It's a heavier weight because these have been shrunk. So the stroke weight is no longer the correct weight. And then you can see the full-size cap. So you can see the stroke weight of all of these small caps are in tune. They all have the same color. But down here, you can really quickly see the difference in the stroke weight of the pseudo small caps and the lowercase letters. Does everyone understand that? Does that make sense? Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Rachel. Anyone else? Anyone question that?
So
Okay.
I was trying to question that.
Oh, yeah.
That in the beginning of the lecture, when we were choosing on the 12:15, I noticed that the B seems like it's cap height. When it's starting to read off the paragraphs, it's built. It starts with a capital letter.
Hold on a minute. You mean back here? Let me go back over here. Oops. Built is a capital letter.
And then everything else is small caps, right?
No, this is lowercase letters. This is a capital B and lowercase letters.
That's
You
what
see
I'm
that?
saying. Yes, that's. But then we're talking. But did you say that that's a no-no?
So no, that's fine. What this is, so let's go in here. So this is small caps are capital letters that sit on the X height, meaning they integrate peacefully with lowercase letters. So you can see the lowercase letters sit on the X height and small caps sit in the X height.
Okay.
So they work together. Pseudo small caps are shrunken versions of full-size caps. They don't work together because their stroke weights are different because you've shrunk them. So in other words, only choose typefaces that have a small cap option, like Adobe Garamond has small caps. So if you want to use small caps, you would choose Adobe Garamond small caps, not try to shrink capitals to make them fit.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
good.
the way. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about are numbers. Numbers play a big role. Let's say you're doing a restaurant and you're going to do pricing. Let's say you're going to do a financial document for a bank, or an annual report for a publicly traded company. So when you see this paragraph set with lining numbers, you can see that the numbers are going up to the cap height. They sit on the baseline and they go up to the cap height. So they kind of really pop out like capital letters in this paragraph. This next one is non-lining numbers. And so on this one, you can see the numbers are sitting on the baseline, but they're only going up to the X height, not the cap height. They have ascenders and descenders like a lowercase letter. So these old style numbers kind of sit more in the paragraph and behave more like lowercase letters. So they're less popping out than the lining numbers. And so sometimes you want them to be more blended. And so if you want your numbers to blend in, you want to use old style numbers. And if you want to have your numbers pop out, you might want to use lining numbers. So looking at the two choices, think about, do I want them popping out like a capital letter? Then I want lining. If I want them integrated, I want old style. Here's what they look like side by side. So again, you can see that the old style numbers are behaving like lowercase letters, and the lining numbers behave like capital letters. Yep, Rachel, you have it. Yep, exactly. Okay, here's another question, everybody. So we have stacked letters, and I'm going to use this. Let me annotate. I'm going to try this. I haven't used the little annotation thing in here yet. Let's try it and see if it works. I'm going to number these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tell me your choice. Which one would you choose? Do you think is the easiest to read and the best choice for something that you want to be stacked? All right, good. I'm getting a lot of good votes in. All right, so has everyone voted? All right, let's see what everyone has here. So good. I'm seeing multiple numbers, and having multiple numbers is correct. There's more than one that is a right answer here. So for those of you who said 1, let's start with 1. For those of you who said 1, I have Joseph, Sandra, Rachel, Michaela. Okay, I think that's everybody. Yep. Sometimes. I'm going to say number 1 is okay sometimes. How many of you are familiar with the Chicago Theater sign in downtown Chicago?
I lived like right across from that in college, and I feel like that's kind of why I'm used to reading like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if you're doing a theater sign down the front of a building, Absolutely, you want stacked capital letters. Definitely stacked capital letters. So that is definitely has its place, and it's usually in signage. I think Potbelly Sandwich Shop also does it, but they use lowercase letters, which I think is horrendous. You never want to use lowercase letters. So 2 is an absolute no. And I'm trying to think. I don't think anyone thought 2 was okay. Am I looking? I'm looking. So good job, class. Everyone knows that 2 is wrong. Yes, 2 is wrong. So, excuse me, no 2. This one is okay if it's a theater. Let's move on to 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, a lot of us put, what do we have here? I'm just looking. 4, definitely not 6. I'm seeing 5, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4. Okay, let's go to 6 because I think, yeah, no one said 6 either. So no one said 6. Right. What's the issue with 6? The 6 is you have streets going, reading this way and buildings reading this way. That's like super confusing. So that is, in my opinion, you're going to see it occasionally, and it's not an official no, but I just really find it not easy to read. I think it just really hurts legibility. So I would say no for that reason. And honestly, I think all of these are totally fine. It just depends on the document or the spine of the book or the banner or whatever it is you're doing, how it makes sense to read it, but they're all perfectly fine. So 3, 4, 5, those of you who had 3, 4, 5 are the ones that are saying. So in other words, when you want your type to go vertical for whatever it is, like you're doing a banner, it's the spine of a book, it's a poster, you want to make sure that you set your type horizontally and then rotate it. Set it horizontally and then rotate it. That's how you do vertical type. And the only time you're doing this guy over here is if you're designing a sign for a theater and you're going to put lights around it and it's going to go on the outside of a building. Like you really don't want to do this one in many applications. It has very specific applications. Okay, excellent. Can I just get out of the, I think I have to close that. Okay. So yeah. All right, let's keep going. Okay, what did I do? I think I froze my screen. I'm just playing with this annotation. This is kind of a new feature, but I think maybe I have to do something. I said stop, close. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Okay. I guess I thought it went to one more, but I guess it doesn't. So I think that's just on me. All right. So there's our from our spacing. I'm going to show the next one. Oh no, that just stays on the screen. What do I do about that? Okay, how do I get the annotations off? That's interesting. I'm still learning, everybody. Still learning the little new tools that they gave us on Zoom. All right. Okay. There's also the spotlight, which I haven't used. All right, we'll do that later. Oh, I think I have to set that up. Okay, we'll worry about that later. The typographer's M. It's this is how we measure type. So there's something I like to share with you how type is measured. So we have point sizes. You're familiar with every type has a point size. We've talked about how different typefaces that have the same point size have different X heights. And so there's kind of a question of how do we get to that? Well, the typographer's M is more, we measure type in this horizontal space. The M space for a 10-point font would be 10 points of horizontal space. Then the M for a 48-point font would be 48 points of horizontal space. So it's not vertical, it's just what you kind of think. It's horizontal. So let's talk about how that works. So the M square is relative to point size. So for example, when they design a typeface, the typeface is sized so all the parts fit within the M. So that means the ascenders, the cap height, the mean line, the baseline, and the descender. All of it fits within the M. And so a 10-point M space means it's 10 points horizontal and vertical. But the type doesn't fit the full height of that 10 points. It sits on the scaffolding that you're familiar with. We have ascender, cap height, and descender. So the type floats inside that M space. So that's how different typefaces can have different X heights, because sometimes they have a high X height, sometimes they have a low X height, but they all float inside that 10-point M space, that's that horizontal space. So the width of the letters vary because obviously an H has, a capital H has a different width than a lowercase p, and a W has a different width than an I. So the idea is that all letters don't use the whole M unit. Only the widest letter is going to actually use the whole M unit. So as you see in this example, this H has 780 M's, the P is 560, and the D is 560. So even though they're using 1,000 M units, each letter isn't using the 1,000 M unit width. Only the widest letter of the alphabet is using that full width. So that's, again, why it's a little misleading. And when we think about kerning and tracking, they're measured in thousandths of an M. Kerning, of course, is the adjustment between pairs of letters. Tracking is the adjustment for the group of letters. So when we're talking about spacing moving forward, you want to make sure you understand when you're saying tracking, you're talking about the whole word. And when you're saying kerning, you're just talking about pairs of letters. Okay. We're going to pause here, and I'm going to open up for question and answer.